Welcome to episode 41 of Rigor Mortis Paranormal. Tonight we will be listening to stories we collected at the 2019 San Antonio Paranormal Fest. This is part 1. I am David. This is Robert, Jasmine, Kory, and Ian.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Wow, Kory sounds excited.
He should be. Why is that, Rob?
Yeah, when'd you come back from, man? I heard a lot of yelling. I heard the yells of a Brontosaurus.
And the toilet flushed right after?
Twice.
Did I use the restroom?
I don't know, that's what we're asking.
It's ours, Rob just hearing things. You're calling him a
Tell me
liar,
when I use the
Kory?
restroom when you sent me over to get the phone for your child.
Ah, that's what it was. That's what we're calling it
Hey,
this
don't
time.
be shy. Everybody does it.
Yeah, it's like that's what I say. Yeah, I was charging the computer. It smells so bad. Dude, going back to where we're at, because I got a story about this morning. Just like we're talking about that, dude. I don't know what we ate yesterday, man, but it just kind of, I think it was caldito, and y'all don't know what that is. That's that Mexican good soup. It's like oxtail, and you have cabbage, and that alone, man.
Oh man, yeah.
Boiled cabbage, yum.
Cabbage goes right to your
With
stomach.
squash and corn and carrots and all kinds of goodies, man. We put a little bit of rice up in that bad boy. Boy, I had like 8 bowls of that bad boy. So, man, this morning, man, dude, man, I was like shutting the bedroom door because I left the hallway restroom door.
no.
Like, spray some damn Lysol in the hallway.
I walk like that every morning.
I really don't understand why you leave the door open.
I have no idea. I gotta spread the wealth, man. Hey,
I never
if I gotta
understood
sit
that.
through that shit, damn it, I'm taking you with me. Anyway, we just released the Halloween episode.
About a month ago.
Yeah.
It's almost Christmas.
And,
You don't need to know that, Kory.
but like again, we got those awesome stories from all stories. We got all those Scoob. Hey Scoob.
Puberty?
Yeah, at 70, whatever. It just, I think I just sat on my balls. That's what it was. Sorry. My daughter's here, bro. Anyway, they were awesome, man. And this is kind of the same thing that we're doing this time around with the Paranormal Fest.
Part 2?
Yeah.
Or season 2?
Yeah, because
Well, this is part 1. It's the
Part one.
second.
well, it's the second annual.
It's
Yeah.
the
Second annual, that's what I was trying to
But
get
it's
at.
part 1.
Yeah, and this is part 1. Actually, yeah, we did.
I mentioned
We're
at the beginning, but
okay. We're doing the part 1.
Can you tell we do this professionally?
Oh
Like,
yeah, shit. All
We're
unorganized, right? Hey, we forgot to tell them. They're like, what? A bonus? Part 2? Yeah, we're doing this in 2 parts because we got something like, what, 16?
we got a lot of stories, and they were really good stuff. Man.
Yeah,
It
oh
was,
yeah.
like,
Oh, definitely.
really cool. And it was at Black Swan Inn.
Black Swan Inn, man. And then what was else?
That
What
was
was
awesome.
What was the other added bonus? Where were we next to?
The free beer.
Oh, sweet Lord. We didn't have to walk far. That way, when we
Right
stumbled back, it was only like 5 feet away. And we were still stumbling, though, right?
Yeah, can you believe they actually... I was like, dude, I can't believe they did that. Like, well, I mean, the beer is just for tips. I mean, it's free, but, you know, we're just asking for tips. I'm like, dude, really? It's like, so we can leave a quarter? I mean, for beer? I mean, like,
Yeah, we'll do that, right?
it's like, here's
Yeah.
$1. Can I have 4 beers?
And then they really messed up when Jasmine asked how many we could get, and they said it doesn't matter. And then we went back with literally
10.
Yeah, she was like, can I come back from one?
I think we still had some from the round before. We were like, oh, this is heaven, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, that's all we were saying. They you know, hey, they knew we were coming, guys.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah, we met some cool people out there. Though.
awesome, yeah.
Cool cat.
Do you have that info for December 6th?
December 6th, we're going to be at El Luchador.
First Friday.
First Friday here in San Antonio. We do have, I guess every first Friday they have a whole bunch of events at the Blue Star and all this other stuff, kind of artsy stuff that they got going on in San Antonio. At El Luchador, we're going to be kicking back with Will, the UFO historian of San Antonio, and actually the guy's like really, really good.
Will Pullen.
Will Pullen, he knows this stuff, man. But yeah, we're going to be hanging out with him there at, I don't have the address on me.
It's
623 Roosevelt Avenue.
San Antonio, Texas, 78210. How did I know that?
Man.
Off the top of your
dude, I
head.
know. I was
Because
here-
there's beer.
Because they have beer there.
Yeah, we're gonna just be there as a meet and greet with Will Pullen, a UFO. So it's gonna be kind of awesome because you got your UFO historian
Yeah.
buff with UFO stories, and then you got your RMP crew there with the paranormal. So it's the best of both worlds. All we need are the mountain men there for the crypto, man. Shit.
Oh, yeah, man, get some
I'm
crypto.
gonna try and invite that big guy, man. Buck.
A vampire?
But,
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we can get
Who
Buck
does
there,
those?
man.
Like, okay, yeah, like the cryptid would be like the chupacabras, the Bigfoots, and the Yetis and shit like that.
And
So who does the like Jazz said the
What if we could get an actual vampire?
oh hell no, they're really, you know
An
what,
actual vampire
I don't know, vampires, man, they just
they'd
like,
probably be a
Gay?
cannibal.
What do you think, they're gay?
yeah, they just like Liberace and that. That's not a problem. I mean, I don't have a problem with some, but what it is they're just
You don't dress nice.
yeah, I'm complaining about them. Yeah, that's what it is, man. They're looking good. That fucker, look at all
Why
those
can't I be a
ruffles.
They're all-
Yeah, velvet and ruffles, and then they look good in their leather pants. That's what it is. That's what it is, man. You try and put like these what is it, 2 foot high and 7 foot wide leather pants on. I'm like, yeah, that ain't gonna work. Yeah, but no, that I just always afraid that like I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want to bite into me. Like, no, that's it's like barbacoa, man. Do you want all beef or do you want mixed? I said, man, that one's really mixed. Do you know vampires or what?
No, why are you asking?
I don't know.
You have a vampire friend you want to
See,
invite?
I'm gonna bring some.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm gonna look.
Something.
I'm gonna sit there with a hammer and a railroad spike. It's like, sir, that don't work. It's supposed to be wood. But it'll still go through, cabrón.
Trust me, sir. We are not interested right now.
It's like, yeah, hey, you can really relax, guys. like, there's other tasty morsels inside of this bar instead of you. But that's all falls
Hey, we
under.
can have witch stories, right?
We have witch.
We have
stories, right?
had.
I mean, so
We had actually the awesome it's a Joshua House, right? With what's his face?
Joshua?
The guy that they crushed with those boulders, more
Oh, the
weight,
Salem.
please. Yeah, but it was a Joshua House. Remember the lady who came out looking like Diana Ross? A picture. She was like
that's right, yeah.
electrified. Like that looked creepy.
Yeah, it was a creepy.
That was
photo.
a creepy
Yeah,
photo,
that was
man.
awesome.
Diana Ross, I'm sorry, Diana. I don't mean nothing by that, but yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah. Oh, but did you see it? If you see that picture
I
from
probably saw. I don't know.
from the Joshua House, it's awesome. It's fucking awesome, but it's also super creepy though, man.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like. Yeah. You don't know where that's from, right?
No.
Yeah. From what is it?
Scary stories to tell in the dark.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
With that big lady when they're in the red hallway.
I don't remember that.
Man, it's super
You had
crazy.
to like listen because I didn't hear it.
I thought it was funny, but it was creepy too. And she looked weird because her face is real big and flat, and like it just, oh man, and she's walking, she's like real fat, right? And that's all her power was, that she just hugged the guy and he went inside of her. But that's creepy enough, man. Like, okay, cabrón, you want to try with me, bro? She's coming into me, and then I'm going into her. Which is,
They're both going,
Kind of just fused together, right? With one head or 2 heads.
we become the State Puff Marshmallow Man, right? Kory got it down, man. Anyway, but I think that's what I'm trying to go with that, is because it's gonna be the same style as the way we did the Halloween special, because we're lazy and we're just gonna let these ones go, and the next stories are gonna go out. But they're awesome stories, and we are coming back with a vengeance with our podcast. Man, we actually have some really, really cool stories lined up.
Excited.
Yeah, I can't wait. So hopefully we can get them bad boys down soon.
Well, this is part 1. I guess the next one will be part 2, and I guess we got another 8 stories or something like that in that
After
one
that,
too.
yeah.
So
I'm kind of glad that we kind of split it in part. That way, if y'all can't catch the whole one in one day, because it is going to be kind of long. So I'll shut up and
I'll roll the stories.
Hi guys, my name is Trisha and I want to talk to y'all about a paranormal experience that I had. A couple years ago, I was at the Magnolia Hotel in Seguin, Texas with the paranormal group out of Austin called Strange Town, Mark and Billy. And we were doing an investigation there, and a few things happened. One, we were down in the Indian Raid shelter, and it's really pitch black down there, and it's got a dirt floor. And we were communicating with spirit that were down there. And there's a video on YouTube that is also featured on Paranormal Caught on Camera. on the Travel Channel of an orb floating around us as we're down there. Mark kind of feels something on his back, and you can see him turn around and look. And then a few moments later, you see this white orb floating through the camera frame, and it's lit up really bright and big. So if y'all want to go check that out, that's on YouTube on Strangetown. You can just do Strangetown orb, and that'll be probably the first one that pops up. And then the same night, it was towards the end of the night, it was probably about 4 o'clock in the morning. A lot of the people had left for the night, and it was just me and Mark and a couple of other ladies. And we went upstairs, and there is a angry spirit. His name is Mr. Faust. He has a room upstairs, and he is very angry. He's been known to pull your hair, and he's been known to scratch your eyes. And this is documented from other paranormal groups. So we were upstairs, and we had a spirit box going, and we were trying to communicate with him. And so we were asking him questions, and every once in a while you'd hear, a word or two that sounded like a male's voice. And then we were standing around, and it was pitch black in his room. There was some lights from outside, like street lights that were shining in. So that was basically our only light that we had. So we're just kind of standing around talking to him, and Mark asks him a question. What do you want us to do? And you could hear clear as day through the sweeps, "Get out." We took off. We ran. I was the last one to run out of the room. I was so scared. Ran down the stairs, ran out, and we all just freaked out because we all heard the words "Get out." And if you know about a spirit box, hearing two words in one sweep is very rare. So to hear two words in one sweep was just crazy. So that was my experience at the Magnolia. My experience with my dad. My dad never believed in paranormal. He always thought it was kooky. Me and my mom, we'd watch ghost shows, and he'd always think, there's a scientific reason why something happens. So after my dad died on 2/22/17, he took his own life. He came to me. He would tickle my arm or tickle my ear. And it's pretty much stopped now, but shortly after he died, I could feel, him tickling my ear, and I'm like, "See, Dad, I told you, you can communicate me through, touching me or whatever." And he never, he would never believe that was possible. So I truly believe in the paranormal, and I truly believe that spirit can connect with you. And if you're open to it and you accept it, and you when something happens and it continues to happen, acknowledge the person who you think it is, and it will happen to you more and more and more. Like with my mom, I see the number 34. I say, "Hey, Mom," I always, acknowledge her. So key thing to do is just acknowledge, of someone who's passed away, and they will continue to come to you and show you that they are there. Thank you.
My Aunt Patty. Her husband had just passed. That's why my Aunt Patty was moving out. And we had gotten back home, me, my mom, and dad. And I was sitting on my bed, and they were in there watching TV in their room with the light off. And I'm pretty sure my mom was asleep and my dad was watching TV. I was sitting on my bed. My bed is in front of the kitchen through a little door where the dining room would be. And I was playing video games on my TV, and I feel I had my headphones on. I just had one ear off, and I felt something like the back of my hair. And I snap around behind me. My dog is sawing logs, and no one else is there. And I had to take a minute to just pretend what kind of happened. And I just back to what I was doing. And then we went back up to Aunt Patty's house to help her finish moving. I was sleeping on the couch next to my mom and dad, and I feel that same feeling of feeling like someone is tugging a little bit at my hair while I'm trying to sleep. And it's just, I thought it was just paranoia, but both times I wasn't thinking about anything scary. So,
and your uncle liked to go to prison.
my uncle and my grandfather love to play tricks on me and the rest of the kids in the family. Ugh. Oh yeah. Okay, this is when I was like a lot younger, and we were living down at my grandparents' old house. When was that house built?
It was a parsonage moved from somewhere.
Yeah, it was a parsonage moved from somewhere in the 1800s. I was real young, sleeping on the floor with my parents in their room, and I could have been hallucinating, but it's still weird. I woke up, and it was dark in the room, but I could still see. There was like a shadow that was solid black over the bed where my mom was, and it scared me. It was weird, to say the least. I could have been hallucinating, but I don't know. This is Melly, and that was my strange story.
Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I am with Afterlife Paranormal Society, and I'm here to talk about my experience at the Black Swan Inn in San Antonio. I was with a paranormal team, not with mine, a different one, and we were doing an investigation here. And before I had joined up with the team, one of the members had brought me over to a certain area in the location and asked me if I could feel anything. And immediately I got the presence of a young female who was very harshly hurt in her life and then was killed on the property. And I was very uncomfortable. I started crying. I was holding onto my throat, like I was getting my throat was, getting choked. And then I looked up, and in this specific area, I saw a man standing there. And I had asked, is this what you're wanting me to feel? Because this is what I'm feeling. And he's like, you don't know anything? I was like, no, I don't know anything about this place. And, well, needless to say, I was pretty accurate on what had happened. Later on in the night, we had split up the teams into 3 groups, and I had a group out here on the land. And the last group decided that they wanted to go to the location that I was talking about. And we go back there. And the lead investigator decided that he wanted to join us once he found out that we were going back there. And so we all stood in a circle. I think I was the one holding the recorder. If it wasn't me, it was the girl beside me. And we started asking questions. We got a very ominous laugh of a man. Ha 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 ha. Like he was just tired of hearing it. He said, oh boy, just kind of like, really, what are you guys doing here? Why are you in my area? That's just kind of what it felt like. And the lead investigator decided that he was going to go and stand in this particular area where I had earlier seen the man, and he did. We'd started taking pictures. There were a couple pictures where there was a weird blur of a white light above him. We were like, okay, there's something there. So I decided that I was going to go and stand beside him. And it was the worst mistake I've ever done in an investigation before. I stood in front of him, and instantly I could feel hands closing around my throat. I couldn't breathe. And I'm trying to tell the investigator behind me, I'm like, I can't move. I was literally frozen to the spot. I tried to move and I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe hardly, so it was hard for me to even explain to him what was going on. And he's like, you need to get out of here. I was like, I'm trying. And so the investigator brushed across my shoulder. I was able to break free of what was holding on to me. And I walked away from the group, and I spilled my guts all over. The rest of the night, I could see him, this person, follow me everywhere on the property. I went up to the house to break free of it, and he was pacing back and forth beside me. I went into the house to truly try to break free of this, and I was able to. And when we were in the house, we had a lot different of experiences. I ended up playing hide and go seek with a girl named Sophie. I had an app on my phone that gave you words of what they were saying, and then it had like a K2 meter type device on it. And then in the other room beside us, we had our portal box going. And on my phone, she had said colors. And we were like, oh, because the other investigator that was in the room with me was playing with a feather. She had dropped the feather, so we thought maybe she liked the color of the feather. And then we had asked her what her favorite flower was, but she didn't respond until later. But we had heard a little girl's voice come through the portal and said, yeah, like this happy-go-lucky girl. And I had asked her, are you in the other room? Is it easier for you to talk through that? And she's like, yeah. So on my phone, it said, join in. We're like, okay, this is kind of cool. She's talking to us through both devices. So we go into the other room. And again, we asked the same question. What is your favorite color? Oh, no, it wasn't color. It was flower. That's what it was. We asked, what is your favorite flower? And she says, tulip. We're like, oh, well, why do you like a tulip? And then on my phone is when it said color. So we were like, that is so cool. And we're like, do you want to play a game? Yeah. Okay, do you want to play hide and go seek? Uh-huh. And I'm like, are you ready? And she says, ready. And so I count. I'm like, okay, we're going to come find you. And on my phone, she says, hunt. So we go back room to room, and we have our K2 meter, and it is zero, flatline, absolutely nothing. Until we get into the main parlor where the dining room table is with the glass tabletop. And I'm like, are you in here? And the K2 meter starts going a little higher. The further we get into the room, it goes to yellow. I'm like, oh, I bet you I know where you're at. Are you under here? And I put the K2 meter underneath the table, and it goes to red. She was hiding under the table. It was the coolest thing ever.
Greetings, this is William Pullen, UFO historian and lecturer based in San Antonio, Texas. I wholeheartedly encourage everyone to tune into the Rigor Mortis Paranormal podcast, available in San Antonio, Texas. Until next time, keep watching the skies.
All right, my name is Ricardo Perez, and one of the encounters that I've had was my grandfather when he passed away. It was a year after. I was just inside my dad's bedroom, and we were just playing the PlayStation, and I just decided I wanted to get up, go to my room, and off the corner of my eye when I left my parents' room is I see my grandfather in the corner playing a guitar, and I go right back inside and I scream. I told my dad, I was like, hey, I just saw Grandpa, he's in the corner, like he's right there. My dad's like, no, don't play, and he goes out, and I was like, I did not leave the room at all. Everybody asked like, hey, why'd you see him with a guitar? He loves to play the guitar. That was his main thing. The last thing he taught me before he did pass away and when we got into the hospital, he taught me how to play the guitar. So when I figured that out, I was like, oh man, like that kind of scared me out. So yeah, ever since, like I cannot see that. Like I see it every time I have a nightmare or anything. That's all I think about is, all right, it's my grandpa there, play the guitar, I think of a guitar, and I love guitars. So it's, I heard the last notes that he was playing. So those were the notes. It was just a simple one, just a little like dring, 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 just like that, and that's all I know how to play. So after that I went in there and I couldn't get out of the room. So it took me a couple days, I had to like been passed out just to go to my room and be asleep. But when I woke up, I was freaking out and I went back to my parents' room, and I just did not want to go inside that corner. So yeah, that's what I've encountered right there.
My My name is Penny, and when I was young, I lived in a house in Pennsylvania, New Enterprise, Pennsylvania, that was haunted, and we had several different experiences growing up throughout that house. The history on that house was the woman died of cancer, and then her husband was, from grief, killed himself in the barn, and his kids sold the house and tore the barn down. And at different times growing through that house, the way our upstairs was, one room went into the next room, and my sister and I's room was right next to the attic. They walked up about 20 stairs up into the attic, closed up room. And on the wall where my bed was, all the time I would hear like people just scratching up and down the hall, like they were walking up and down the steps. And just different things. We would see stuff and stuff would move. One day, during the day, I went upstairs to get something out of my mother's room for, and on the wall was a lady in a white gown floating. And a couple other times, just my sister out of nowhere almost got hit by a car, and my sister came out and grabbed me and saved me just right out by that house. And there's just always something really scary and freaky noises. We had to, in the wintertime, we would close the upstairs down because it cost so much to heat the house. So we have to go upstairs to go to the restroom, take a shower, that kind of stuff. And different times my dad would go upstairs, and one time he was coming downstairs and it's like someone grabbed his shoulder, and we just hear people talking, different things. And that's my story.
Hi, my name is, everyone tells me Chavez, where I work at. And this story basically is from where I work. It's in a school. I was working with my teacher and another teacher aide. We had maybe 8 to 10 students in the class. And all of a sudden we started hearing the restroom or the toilet flush by itself. No one was in there. And then the cord for the shower, it fell down. So we went and checked. We came back, nothing happened. And then everyone stayed quiet, all the students and everything. Everyone was sitting down. And as soon as the teacher was going to start teaching, the blinds were coming up and down. Now, they were not coming up and down, but like if someone was yanking the blinds, and they were doing it like several times. So all the students turned around. I turned around. I was sitting down. The other teacher aide was also, she stood up, and then where my teacher had several papers stacked up behind her, they started to fly down. They threw them down to the floor. The cabinets, the door from the cabinets were opening and shutting by themselves. Everyone was freaking out. By then, my energy, I don't know what I felt. I was getting like drained. So I was going sideways. And then a trash can was right behind me. And it had the lid of the trash bag. So they picked it up, throw it to the inside the trash can. And then the other teacher aide said, you know what? Get out of here. You don't belong in this classroom. Get out. So it get to the door, and it started opening, and the door, how do you call it? The door, no, it's not a doorknob. It's those ones that you just, no, it's not a panic bar. It's like a doorknob, but you just pull it down, and it was coming up and down, up. Yes, the lash. It was up and down, and it's like, and that teacher, she opened the door. You know what? Get out. And then, like, the door just slammed. This little boy must be 7, 8 years old. So he was my favorite. You know what I mean? He was my favorite, and he would always see something, or a little boy, or another spirit, and we would both, at the same time, we would turn, and then he would turn back, and he would see me, and then he would ask me, Miss Chavez, did you see the little boy? And I would say, yes. And we would like, okay, I'm gonna tell you what color of shirt, and I would say white. We both say it at the same time, white shirt. And we're like, yes, it was a white shirt. And I'm like, in that classroom, we've had many experience. Many, and no one believes us. That's a thing. Like, no one believes us. The toilet, it flushes by itself. The seat from the toilet, it automatically goes down by itself. The shower, it falls down. The shower head falls down. Like, we have a lot of stories in that one. And this little boy, like I said, he would also see like another spirit, or I don't know, someone running around.
Hi guys, I go by Jessie. I'm 36 this month. Yay, made it to this lifetime. Going through a very young life. Going through several issues as far as losing loved ones that are close to you. My dad was the highlight of my life. He died when I was 3 years old. My mom always told me that I would never be left unloved and untouched and unwatched by him. Time came, I grew up on a 32-acre ranch my whole life. Property was sold, came down to the final 7 acres. Down to the final 7 acres came the time when I had my first actual experience of seeing my dad and how much he loved me. And this is the story behind it. You know, everybody starts off on a normal scary night, thundering, clouds, things like that. Mine was actually on a beautiful open night. You go outside in the field, you look up to the stars, and everything stands out in the countryside. And the countryside stands out. You look around and there's nothing around other than wind, fields, over and over again. I'm getting tired. I used to have my favorite dog. Her name was Jasmine. At the time, my house, my room itself was converted into the biggest bedroom, which used to be part of the open porch. There was 2 steps that my mom had made special for me, and that room looked like the biggest dollhouse I've ever seen. But there was always things that were going on, from noises, bangs, creaks, but they weren't scary. They made me feel comfortable, safe. And those things that made me feel comfortable and safe were my dad knowing that he was always going to watch over me. My mom used to work nights, so unfortunately it was just me and my brother, and at 8 years old, in the country with no lights, it's pretty freaking scary at night. But you know what? I had my Jasmine. Jasmine was a white Pekingese mix, and she always let me know when something was close and when something was not friendly. You know, one night, that same night, when my mom left to work late, my brother wasn't there. I was home by myself at 8 years old, just me and my dog. Me, of course, being precautious, I had a butcher knife under the bed, because I'll be damned if I'm going to let anybody mess with me. But when all that came up, I started falling asleep. And then all of a sudden, I can hear my creaks at night, as I normally do. I say my novenas, and I tell my dad good night, and thank you for watching over me. And as he watches over me, I start drifting to sleep. But then I notice something different, something unusual. Jasmine starts barking. Jasmine barks every so often at the steps when she knows that my dad's near. But not like this, not like before. She went through and started barking to the point to where it was obscene, and I started getting really irritated and just pissed off in general. When that happened, I kept telling her and yelling at her. She would come lay down back on the bed and then leave again, go back to the stairs and start yelling. So then, keep in mind, on that same 10-acre tract, my grandparents did have a mobile home towards the back of the house. They had a secondary residence about maybe 2 acres back. Me being in the house in the front by myself wasn't always the most ideal situation. But when it was, this was the night that all that happened. And when that happened, this is where all the horror and the most scared feelings one could ever have in their life began. When it began, after she started yelling, then she started yelling and barking and screaming. And I mean, she wasn't just barking. She was, if you were to turn my dog into a human, she would let you know exactly what she was going through and what was happening. As if she was just scared as shit and didn't know what to do. So when that happened, part of me stood up and I just got mad and I didn't pay attention and I threw her outside. I go back to my bed. I could still hear the creaks after I'm already in bed for another 30 minutes. And once that 30 minutes hits, something just felt different. Not because she wasn't inside, My Jasmine always protected me, but she was annoying me, so I threw her outside. But it wasn't because she was inside. There was just this different energy in the room that didn't feel right. And the way that this energy felt was completely different. It just wasn't normal. So I ended up drifting off to sleep. And then all of a sudden I felt like if somebody was sitting on the bed next to me, I thought it was Jasmine. But being asleep, knowing that she always laid in the bed next to me, you're talking about a 10-pound dog. And it felt as if she jumped in the bed. I tried fiddling around for her, didn't feel anything. I finally woke myself up and I looked down, and right to the right side of me. As I look over, there's an indentation in the bed. Not because of the dog, just because there was an empty space. An empty space where nobody was sitting, where you couldn't feel anybody there. There was a coldness I've never felt before. But when that coldness fell through, I started getting chills down my back. And I started screaming in my mind, but not out loud, because I didn't want whatever it was knowing that was there to know that I was scared. And I pushed myself back further and further against the wall. And more, that spot itched his way as if somebody started laying down on the bed next to me. I finally started praying. I grabbed my rosary and just started praying. After about 20 minutes, I drifted off to sleep until I felt something as if it was pushing my hair out of my face. Not a menacing feeling, something soft, something genuine, something loving. But when I realized that there was something or someone pushing hair out of my face and there was nobody there, I woke up, realized what in the world was going on, grabbed my knife, and ran out of the house and ran to my grandmother's. And I told my grandmother and my grandfather I didn't feel safe in the house that night, so I stayed there with them. The next day, I was trying to go back into my room. Once again, Jasmine was being better, so I was just trying to go back into my room in the morning. Everything was fine, and then she was walking, and Jasmine she never bit anybody, she never barked at anybody, but she was doing everything she could to prevent me from going into that room. And when I went back into the room, I felt something pushing me back, and I didn't feel right, so I went to go get my mom and my grandfather and my grandmother. My mom by then was already home at the time. My grandpa goes, "Let me go check it out, mija. I'll go look at it for you. Just go stay in the living room." Not even a minute later, my grandfather comes running out of the room. He goes to his house, half an acre away, comes back with his double-barrel shotgun. And all of a sudden, my mom grabs me, throws me out of the house. And I'm screaming and I'm crying and I don't know what's going on. My grandpa runs into my room with a gun. And I hear 2 big blasts. And out of those 2 big blasts, my grandfather comes back. Come to find out that there was a rattlesnake under my bed at that time. He comes out, and this rattlesnake, it wasn't small, but it wasn't big, but it was big enough to do some damage. I would say, if anything, it was about maybe a good 5-foot rattlesnake. And that's just one of the stories to show you that those that you love, even though they die, they're still there watching you, your guardian angels.
Awesome, guys. I don't know how y'all feel, but
great.
I'm just
some words up.
in awe of some of the story.
I was pretty drunk and I don't remember any of those stories.
Actually, I was freaking out because this lady here said that it was a small rattlesnake. It wasn't that big. Well, it wasn't small, but it wasn't that big. It was like 5 foot. I'm like, yeah, man, she's fighting an anaconda right there. That's a big ass rattlesnake. If you're from Texas or even, well, they're everywhere in the United States, but if you see a 5-foot rattlesnake, that's not a little earthworm, man.
I thought you were freaking out about the lashes.
Oh,
the lashes are going up and down, up and down.
Oh, okay then.
Latches?
Anyway, this is just part 1, like we said, and then we're going into part 2. But before we do that,
if you have a story, what's that phone number, Rob, if you want to call the story in?
That number is 210-901-8666. And remember, folks, that is a 3-minute call. So if you go over 3 minutes, please call back and just let us know this is part 2 of or part 3 or part 4, however many parts you got to it, of the story that you were telling before. And we will edit that bad boy and make it sound really good. Really good. Really good.
Hey, and if not, if you want to email it, you can email us at rigormortisparanormal@gmail.com. Or you can visit us online at rigormortisparanormal.com, and you can check out the Submit a Story section. However you get your story to us, we'd love to have it.
Oh, man, the website, David, awesome. David did really good work, and it's real easy, and it's self-explanatory.
It's a website.
Yeah.
Make sure you share us with your friends.
Yes.
Your family.
And your enemies, too.
Your enemies.
Your friends.
Yeah, if you
Anybody you think would like us.
Yeah.
Hey, the video, too. The Marianne O'Neill video. If you haven't yet, please check it out. You got to check out our YouTube channel. Kory, you okay? You're choking on some sunflower seeds over there. He put half a bag of sunflower seeds in his mouth. My wife made me. Definitely, guys, share us, please. Also, we're on just about everything.
Stitcher, iHeartRadio, FM Radio,
iTunes,
LimeWire,
Spotify. Okay, now we're just bragging, right? YouTube. Everybody's on YouTube, but I'm just saying.
LimeWire.
We're on LimeWire.
Download us on a CD, burn us to a CD.
The Southside Reporter, you name it. Yeah. But no, seriously though. I mean, which one?
The Pirate Bay? That's where people used to get torrents of. Not that I've ever been myself.
Whoa, the Pirate Bay.
The porn stuff.
No, that's like where people used to get.
Hold on, let me type that in. What is that?
No, that's gone now. They arrested the guy.
Bunch of nude pirates.
No, like
yeah, like the hell, I heard this
games,
one. You've been hiding these ones from
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. No, that's done though.
Look at a Bud Pirate back page, man. I was like, yeah.
Did you say butt pirate?
Are we really on all that?
Yeah.
No, not LimeWire. We're even Pirate Bay.
We're even on the dark web.
Oh god.
I don't know about the Bud Pirate ones. I don't know. I don't think anybody wants to look at my ass. That's for damn sure.
But yeah, definitely. If you get a chance, please check us out. Share us. We'd love to hear some stories from you guys. We got a 99.9% ratio of airing your stories.
Oh yeah, it's almost a guarantee. So yeah, it is.
Who was that 0.1%?
Well, hey, if you want to send us your recipes, we won't hear that, but we'll make good use of
take them.
I think we even recorded one time. We were like, all right, we're done.
Oh, we did. We've had that.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that they got too blue, I would imagine, and then they weren't making too much sense, and then it became kind of dangerous.
I think we.
And then you started putting us down, and we're like, all right, we gotta go.
Yeah.
We're not used to putting.
You're too fat for a podcast. I'm like, how does that have anything to do with it? Oh, what about Rush Limbaugh?
But there was a lot of alcohol involved in that podcast. So yeah, it never got aired. It didn't get finished.
Yeah, and it probably would have been a good story. It just
actually did seem like the story.
Well, they never got to it. I mean, they kind of gave us little hints and previews, but we were there like 9 hours drinking, and just like it's still
It turned into one of those serious drinking. I don't like that. It's nice when it's funny and everybody's having a good time, but when it starts getting serious and you're holding each other, crying and hugging.
I
love you. I love you, man.
When you tell them that we got 99 stories, but yours ain't one.
I'm gonna make a prank call and I'm gonna tell them to call us. That's an emergency. What the fuck are you talking about? They're like, they hung up on me. Oh, you motherfucker. That's why we don't do too many interviews anymore.
Is that why? Was I not that one?
No, you were.
I think you were working that day.
Yeah, you were working actually.
But
no, it was not fun.
No, it was the top shelf liquor though, man. I gotta admit, man.
There's some good liquor.
Well, he was drinking out of the bottle, so that was.
Yeah, I didn't drink out of that one, but
but he had like 15 other ones you could drink out of.
Pretty good, yeah. Fellas, make sure y'all stay tuned for part 2 of the San Antonio Paranormal 2nd Annual Paranormal Fest.
Hey.
That wasn't me.
It's kind of steep.
The dog was choking it.
That wasn't me, I promise.
Nobody got up and checked on him.
We're just laughing instead. That's horrible. You're bad, Jazz. I'm blaming on you.
Did you give the dog sunflower seeds too, Jazz?
Oh boy.
Hey, anyway, thanks a lot for listening.
Enjoy.
Peace out.
Bye, guys.